I was going to do this video yesterday for you guys, as I mentioned in previous videos, but again, crazy day at work, and I needed to rest up, and I'm back here today, and we're going to be talking about the 2020-2021 season for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're talking about the regular season, we're going to talk about the playoffs for what it's worth, and talk about the offseason and what lies ahead for the Toronto Maple Leafs, because a lot of things might be changing, but I don't know. I honestly, I can't tell the future, so I don't know what's going to happen with this team. But let's start with really the only good thing that happened this year, the regular season. The Leafs finished with the best record in the North Division at 35-14-7. They were playing some great hockey. They had the Rocket Richard Trophy winner in Austin Matthews. With Freddie Andersen's inconsistent play and the injury, you had to rely on Jack Campbell. And he emerged as your starting goaltender throughout the playoffs as well. And he was fantastic. Great. You had two guys, Matthews, Marner, top 5 in the NHL in points. Oh, amazing. You know, you had Mitch Marner, who was 4th in the league in assists. Everything's flying on all cylinders for the Leafs. Your big guys are ready for the playoffs. You have a much revamped decor. You have a red-hot goal. I wouldn't say red-hot goalie, but you have a good goalie feeling good about himself heading into the playoffs. This is the best Leaf team that we have seen in quite a few years, because they actually have a good decor, which we have not seen in many years. But the same result happens. The Leafs lose in 7 games. But not only did they lose in 7 games. First off, congratulations to Montreal for absolutely slapping around the Winnipeg Jets and being on this insane run where they just, it feels like no one can stop them right now, which is pretty incredible to watch. But you go into that series against Montreal and you lose in 7 games. But it's not just them losing in 7 games. And it's not only them losing a 3-1 series. That's not even the only reason behind it. You lose John Tavares in game 1, right? You lose that game, I understand that. You win the next 3. All right, you're in the driver's seat. It's a 3-1 series. You're down 2-0 in game 4. You come back, or game 5, excuse me. You tie the game up. You send it into overtime. But you lose it in overtime. Game 6. Same thing. You go down 2 goals in the 3rd period. Feels like it's over and we're going to 7. The Leafs tie it and send it into overtime. They flat out dominate overtime. Shots on goal are 13-2 in overtime in game 6. And yet they score in overtime and you force game 7. Then in game 7, like I talked about in the game 6 video, whoever's going to want this the most is going to win this game. And that's exactly what happened. The Leafs didn't come out of the gate flying. They gave up the first goal. It was a squeaker through Jack Campbell's legs, which really hurts in the 2nd period there. And they just really don't show us anything. They don't show any mojo. They don't show any fight. And they lose game 7. So like I said, it's not only that you lost in 7 games. It's not only that you lost a 3-1 series deficit. It's the fact that in game 5 and game 6, you came back from 2-goal deficits, tying the game and sending it into overtime, and still finding to lose both games in overtime, even though in game 6 you flat out dominated OT. It's the way that they're losing these games, and then just to cap it off, you lose in game 7 and lose a 3-1 series deficit. I mean, they just couldn't lose a series, right? You couldn't just lose a series in 6, or heck, even just lose a series in 7. They had to be dramatic about it. Now, after the series, all the focus turns to Marner and Austin Matthews, because neither guy really got it going. Mitch Marner hasn't scored a playoff goal in 18 games. He had a total of 4 assists in 7 games. And Austin Matthews had a goal and 4 assists in 7 games. 5 points in 7 games. It doesn't seem like a bad number to look at. However, in the final 5 games of the series, Matthews did not score a goal, and he had a total of 2 assists in those 5 games. And really, didn't get a lot going. Did he hit a couple posts? Yeah, he did. They don't count. They don't even count for shots on goal. So it's a meaningless number to look at when it comes to shots hitting the post. You know, and everyone, I've seen it all over social media. Everyone's yelling, trade Mitch Marner, trade Mitch Marner. And I want to be here to say, stop it. As much as I was talking about it probably in the Game 7 video, and I was angry, saying this and that, Elliot Friedman said something, I forgot when he said it, but he made a very good point. The Leafs have put so much work, time, and effort into Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews. They're not just going to let these guys go at 24, 23 years old. It just doesn't make sense. They've dished out all this money to these guys, and they got to find a way to make it work. I think that's what Friedman was basically saying, and I'm with him. You know, these guys have talent. And if there's any Jays fans here, because if you haven't checked out the Jays videos, please go do so. That'd be fantastic. I said about Teoscar Hernandez for years that he has the offensive capabilities. He's got power. He's got a good arm in the field. You can't teach that stuff, right? You cannot teach that stuff. The other stuff, yeah, you can teach him how to be a better ball player. And it has taken him quite some time, but he literally just won a Silver Slugger last year, and he's had a great start to this season. For Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews, Marner is a gifted passer. He's a great skater. You can't teach that stuff. That's just got to be natural talent. Matthews has an electric shot. He's great at just stealing the puck from people. You can't teach that stuff. That's just God-given talent. But it's the other stuff. It's the battling in the corners, blocking a big-time shot. I know Marner did a couple playoffs ago against Boston where he was just lying down, blocking big-time shot after big-time shot. I think it was in Game 6 at Scotiabank. I remember that like it was yesterday. Those are the type of things you need to see on a consistent basis come playoff time. Take a hit to make a play. If you have a chance to get this puck, you're going to take a crushing hit, but you know what to do with it. You cycle it back around the net. Do it. Don't sit there and wait for the puck and have them come pick it up and then you chase after them. They got to work with these guys somehow. Now, how is that going to happen? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to work more than anything. I have no idea, guys. I have no clue what's going to happen. But I am with Elliot Friedman in the fact that you got to work with these guys. You got to find a way to make this happen. If I'm Marner, I'm going to the gym every day in the offseason, getting bigger and stronger. Because I don't want to be bullied around come playoff time. So you got to be ready for it. And Austin Matthews, same type deal. I mean, he was a great player. He was a physical player in the series. But he's got to play with a more, like, tempo. Get more fired up. Like, I don't even mean punching people fired up. I mean, just, like, skate, fly around, do what you need to do to help your team win. But then again, I'm sitting here talking about these two guys. Yet, in that playoff series, in game, was it 5 and 6? Anyways, Travis Dermott, the spin around that coughed it up to get the OT winner in game 6, I think it was. Rasmus Sandin, who was awful in game 5. 2 costly turnovers leading to 2 big-time goals. Those aren't going to be talked about. The Galchenyuk terrible pass that led to a breakaway in overtime, or the 2-on-0 in overtime. That's not going to be talked about. But Matthews and Marner are going to be, because they are the big guys. They're making that big money. And I understand that. But it is a team effort. And some of those guys really were a problem in that series. In the big moments. It just seems like it's Leaf-esque that this type of stuff happens. Now, with all the season stuff talked about, let's get to the offseason and talk about, all the UFAs the Leafs have, the RFA, the one RFA that the Leafs have, and maybe some free agents that intrigue me. All right? So I'm just going to rip through this UFA list. We have Dave Riddick, Martin Marincin, Ben Hutton, Zach Bogosian, Joe Thornton, Jason Spezza, Alex Galchenyuk, Nick Foligno, Wayne Simmons, Riley Nash, Zach Hyman, Freddie Anderson, and that is the UFA list that I have. So out of all those names that I just listed, who do you want returning to the Toronto Maple Leafs? Obviously, Zach Hyman for me. I'd like Galchenyuk back on like a minimum deal. Maybe like a $1 million, kind of like what Simmons got and whatnot. Spezza, of course, I want back, and Bogosian for sure. But everybody else, Riddick, Hutton, Marincin, obviously not Marincin, Thornton, Foligno you traded a first-round pick for the guy just to be invisible in the playoffs. Simmons really wasn't good. Nash, no thanks. Freddie, I mean, look, if he wants to come back on a 1-year prove-it deal to kind of be that 1A, 1B with Jack Campbell, fine. But other than that, he ain't getting no multi-year deal from me, at least. That's especially after what we saw this season from him. That's just my take on Frederik Andersen. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. And the only the restricted free agent is Travis Dermott, as he was last year. The Leafs kind of settled on a 1-year deal and brushed it to this season. And we're in the same boat again this year with the RFA Travis Dermott. What do you do with him? Now, if we're looking at free agents around the league and who would I like to have, who would I dream of having, whether it's I don't care about the cap, I'm just looking at guys that are there that I would love to have on this team. And it's all defensemen that I have written down because I was looking at the forwards and I'm like, I mean, who's there that can make a playoff impact on this Leaf team? I don't know. You know, the names I have written down here are Dougie Hamilton, which would be a dream, but the cap hit that he's going to want, I don't know where the Leafs would afford that. David Savard has been always a dream to have on the right side of your D-core. Unbelievable right-handed stout, sound as heck defensively. Adam Larson is one. Again, he's just a free agent from Edmonton who's making good money, a nice name. I don't know if he'd be any good for this team. And then Eric Goodbranson's kind of like that Zach Bogosian replacement. If he walks out, he will probably want a whole lot. I don't know. Would be an interesting, again, Adam Larson, Savard, Hamilton, and Goodbranson, they all have size. And they're all right shot defensemen. That's kind of what I got going on there. If there's any other free agents that you've seen that you like, let me know in the comments because I'm very intrigued to see what you guys have to say. But I think if the Leafs are going to improve this team, it's going to be through trade. I can't see them dishing out a bunch of money in free agency. I just can't see that happening. If you move on from a contract, it's really only Alex Kerfoot. If you're not going to trade any of the big guys, the Tavares, the Nylander, the Matthews, the Marner, it would have to be an Alex Kerfoot. But if you're going to move on from a Kerfoot, what do you do? Who do you add? You know, because the bottom six, like I mentioned, if Spezza, Galchenyuk, Thornton, Foligno, Simmons, that's like, and Hyman, there's 6 forwards that are UFAs this year. And if you bring Hyman back, that's great. You have 5 left. That's almost your bottom 6 gone. So what do you do? Okay, Nick Robertson's probably going to get some time, which is great, which he well deserved for sure. But what else do you do? You know, there's so many question marks, and Leaf fans, I'm going to leave you with this, and it's the worry that I have. On paper, the Leafs have, well, not on paper, the Leafs have made the playoffs 5 straight years, which is great, right? Obviously, they lost in the first round, or whatever you want to call last year's thing against Columbus, but I'll say the first round every season. And we all keep looking next year to the playoffs, next year to the... If we go back, which I'm assuming is going to happen, to the regular divisions once everything opens up, it seems like they're opening up around 3, the travel back and forth from country to country. That seems to be lifting and with things going in the right direction. Maybe we're assuming next year is going to be more or less normal hockey. Fans, same arena, whatever the case. Back to the normal divisions. You have, let's say 3 division spots and the 1 wild card spot, right? Tampa Bay, Boston, Florida's a very good team. They were proving that this year. Montreal, who we all know what happened this season. Ottawa's going to be much better. They ended the season 7-2-1, and they have some great-looking young talent. And the Leafs were terrible against them this year. Do not count those guys out. And then obviously the Leafs. 3 divisional spots and 2 wild card spots. So let's say those 3 divisional spots. You guys know I'm terrible at math. That leaves 3 spots. No, it doesn't. What am I talking about? That's two wild card spots. Woo! That's crazy. But let's say for example, all right, let's take out the Leafs for example. You have the Boston Bruins, you have the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Florida Panthers. Let's say they win the division, okay? Montreal's a damn good team. Ottawa's going to be better. The Leafs. And oh yeah, you have all these other teams in the other conference or in the other division fighting for these wild card spots. Next year is no lock for a playoff spot. And I love Jack Campbell, but is he going to be the same Jack Campbell that we saw this year next season? We have seen this time in, time out, where players have had great one year and then look at Carter Hart. Look at Vezina Trophy candidate last year. Everyone's looking at him this season being like, man, he's an incredible. He was terrible this year. The one great season for the young kid. What's Jack Campbell going to be next year? I don't know what to expect next year. There's no playoff lock. So let's say the Leafs get in there. Well, that's great, but what do you do in round 1? Like, there's so many variables that we have to get through before we even get to that next year playoff run. It's insane. We all talk about, well, regular season doesn't mean anything. Next year, it actually might. As much as, well, once you get into the playoffs, that's what really matters. I get that, but there's really good teams, and there's not a lot of spots. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens next year for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But Leaf fans, I'm not even talking to you for the draft because we don't have a first-round pick. So what the heck? But come signing stage, if they re-sign Zach Hyman or Frederik Andersen or they make any trades, I'll be here to talk to you throughout all of the offseason. But I wanted to get through all that stuff. The season, the playoffs, the offseason possibilities for the Toronto Maple Leafs. If you guys have any other situations, and the crazy thing is, look, I mentioned these D-core, Hamilton, Savard, Larson, and Goodbranson. Not because the decor is not good, because I think the decor this year looked overall pretty good. That's why I'm not really sure what else to fix. Let me know in the comments below, guys, what you thought of the regular season, what you thought of the playoff run, and what were the deciding factors in that series. You're re-signing. Who do you think is going to come back UFA-wise? Do you re-sign Travis Dermott, your RFA? And free agency, what do you got? And trades, what do you got? This video really isn't about me. It's about you guys in the comments below going crazy about your expectations and your possibilities for the next year, Toronto Maple Leafs. All right, so you know what, guys? That is going to do it for this one. I'm finally done talking about this team for a little while because it's all about failures and it happens every year. But I really do appreciate you guys watching all these videos day in, day out. I really do appreciate it. All right, so smack the like button if you guys enjoyed this one. Hit the subscribe button if you have not done so already, guys. Comment down below your thoughts on the video, your thoughts on the season, the regular season, the playoffs, the re-signs, all that stuff, and off-season trades. Go crazy in the comments below. Twitter is down below for myself. Hope send me a DM, all that great stuff. The Instagram link is down below, so follow up down there if you have not done so already. And I will talk to you guys Jays edition later tonight. They're taking on the Chicago White Sox in Chicago. 8:10 first pitch there as the Jays open up their series there. Robbie Ray and Carlos Rodon is the pitching matchup in game one. Gonna be a tough one, but we'll have to see how it all plays out tonight against Chicago. All right, so thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll talk to you guys then.